G'day friends and foes, Arjay here with Arjay's This Is Not Legal Advice, or TINLA for short, and this is episode 52. So just sitting here in the dark at the moment, waiting for some people to come on, and I am going to talk about going vegan potentially, and also a bit about Reset Parliament. So people are starting to go on now. So basically, doing philosophy, right? I'm thinking maybe I should go vegan because, eggs are like eating people. It's like cannibalism. You'll find out why in a second. Ready? Oh, gee, that's bright. I cut my hair off, so I'm an egghead now. The joke would have been better if it was... just change its setting if I can. Yeah, make myself a bit orange. So the joke would have been better if I had a packet of eggs with me. But anyway, so I'm not really going vegan, but just that I'm an egghead. So really in this episode, at least I got one laugh from Earl. So in this episode, I'm going to be discussing Reset Parliament as a new political party. And maybe I'll turn the light on, I'll look slightly better in the car. And basically, for a few years now, I have been creating a political party called Reset Parliament. And basically, it's unlike any other party in that it does not bind members to certain policies or, to any policies. Really, ideally, people, when they're elected, should represent the people of the area and not, the political party itself, or, in the case of the Labor Party, big affiliated unions, that kind of thing, or, big business, if you're Liberal Party, just as another example, or, you have special interests, donors and lobbyists and whatever. So with Reset Parliament, the idea is it's basically a combining the strengths of a political party in terms of having, some organisational structure behind it, the ability to win multiple seats and not just be a single voice out of, 200 voices, something like that. Depends on which election it is. So for Queensland, as an example, there's 93 seats of Parliament. For the federal Parliament, it's more than have the senators as well. Sorry about someone calling. And anyway, so the best features of political parties are that they have the organisational ability behind them, especially once they start getting elected and getting electoral funding so they can professionalise the staff. So it's not, hey, Betty, can you do 20 hours worth of work for free? Thank you, Jacinta. Hi, Lindor, as well. It was more eggy looking a few days ago, but now my hair's starting to grow back a little bit. But I am sunburnt from last Saturday as well. I'm sorry about my throat keeps giving out on me. I've been talking all day. So the advantages of independents, of course, are that they do actually represent people in the electorate, hopefully, or they have the ability to, without it going through a lens of, hey, how is this going to affect our special interests, our donors, that kind of thing as well. So basically, that's a concept behind Reset Parliament. And for federal elections at least, then, maybe having bound members is actually a constitutional ineligibility. So a lot of people remember back, when was that, a couple of years ago, you had the section 44 of the Constitution that was used in multiple court cases in about 2018, and one of those, section 44 subsection 1, is on allegiance or adherence or citizenship of foreign powers. So there's nothing saying that a foreign power can't be a political party, and that is foreign in itself, in that, hey, using the Labor Party as an example, if they have as part of their policies that, hey, you have to elect or you have to use people who are in a Labor Party affiliated unions in terms of workers or awarding contracts, that kind of thing, before anyone else. And if there's no, relevant people, then you can look at employing other people. Then, that's a big problem. And, I believe it's really a form of corruption. But that is for federal parliament because, Section 44, subsection 1 is currently only applied to federal parliament at least. And thanks, Gigi. Yeah, I saw a weird picture. It feels really weird now too. But I saw a picture of Vinny Diesel, and with hair, and it looks, very much different. So basically, that is Reset Parliament in a nutshell. We are looking for people to run, particularly in the Queensland state election that's coming up, which the election itself is on the 31st of October. And, we need the candidates by around the 6th or something like that of October. And we do have... so we are making divisions in other states and territories as well. Hi, Robin and Maria. But the focus at the moment is on the Queensland state election. But, we're happy to sign people up as members in terms of whatever state or territory you're in. Part of the requirements of signing up is that you are on the electoral roll for that particular state or territory. So a lot of people, a lot of pro-liberty minded people aren't on the electoral roll, so that's like a little bit of an issue, as well as therefore they aren't voting for change, of course, as well. But the point is that, hey, we've got this upcoming election. We probably have around somewhere between 10 and 20 candidates at the moment. But Reset Parliament won't be able to be registered as a registered party before the writs close, because basically when you get your 500 members, you then send that to the Queensland Electoral Commission and a copy of the Constitution, etc. The Constitution's already made and shouldn't have issues. I went through the legislation, made sure it was compliant with that, including things like stating if you have been charged with a dishonesty offence in the last 10 years and you cease to be a member. So that's actually a legislative requirement. And then also one requirement you have to have as a policy is that you seek to have people elected to the Legislative Assembly. So it's got certain things that must be included to make the Constitution comply with the Electoral Act. But basically, I kept it as simple as possible and also put in place certain procedures so that the party can't just be taken over. Many of you would know that with One Nation, when it was One Nation, not Pauline Hanson's One Nation, so that party started in 1996, and then 2 years later, roughly, this is just off the top of my head, but just give interesting videos cutting out now. So I'll answer questions soon, but basically with One Nation, that got taken over by other people eventually. Some of you may recall the names like David Oldfield and David Ettridge as well. But basically my understanding is that with the One Nation party, Pauline Hanson ended up being kicked out of it, and then the party did really poorly because, it was sort of known to be her party and internal strife that they had at the time. But then they asked her to come back, or she offered to come back, and part of that was they renamed it Pauline Hanson's One Nation. And one reason for that is that way, it would be basically impossible to kick her out, because you couldn't have her kicked out and still call it Pauline Hanson's One Nation, as an example. So basically, I have policies and procedures in place to prevent that. You also have certain procedures that are required by the Electoral Act, in terms of if you have voting for, picking a member or a candidate for that area, that kind of thing. So all of those things are compulsory, but I did try and keep the Constitution as simple as possible. So I'll just quickly look at some messages. Yeah, so I intend on asking Dave if he would like to run for Parliament. I have a few other people that are already going to run, but like I said, at this stage, I was saying before how the Electoral Commission does it as well, the Queensland Electoral Commission. So basically, you get 500 members, you put in your constitution, and then they post out, via post, a letter with a prepaid envelope and like a little form to fill out saying, "Hey, Joe Smith, Reset Parliament says that you're a member of their political party. Is that correct? Yes. Are you a member of any other political party for Queensland?" And, person puts no for that or whatever. And then the person posts it back, and then the Electoral Commission counts those people and make sure there's over 500 people. This is very summarised. So I have been busy asking people all the time, which is why I'm losing my voice. And also, so basically you've got the two components. You've got the membership base, and then you have the candidate members as well. So you need the 500 members in a membership base, as in ordinary members, which of course candidates have to be members as well. But then, there is a potential to, well, again, we've got two ways to do it if the party's not registered in time, and the Queensland Electoral Commission suggested that they put an arbitrary figure that they would like 6 weeks to register a party, in which case, it wouldn't be registered before the writs are issued. So then the two alternatives are, one, just run the candidates as Reset Parliament endorsed candidates, but technically they're independents. They won't have the branding on the ballot paper. It'll just be, vote one Joe Smith or one Arjay Martin or whatever. And then obviously having to convey to people what Reset Parliament's about. Sorry about the phone call again. And that kind of thing. Another alternative is to potentially merge with an existing party, which may be possible, and some people know a bit more about that, but, I just keep that, the actual details to myself at the moment, but that might be happening. So we'll find out. So do you have anyone else in mind that might be a good candidate? Anyone? So like I said, I'm going to contact Dave. I was going to send him a message after this live. Probably have to do it via Instagram, because from memory he got wiped off Facebook, and unless it's been restored, then it is what it is. Sorry about that, the video cut out again. Yeah, so does anyone on here, and anyone watching this video later, wish to be a candidate or just an ordinary member? What state's Mark from? Is he the gentleman who runs a gym in Victoria somewhere? Yeah, and so really it doesn't matter the people's age, as long as they're over 18 and they're on the electoral roll, then they can run as a candidate. And basically, other parts of, what Reset Parliament's about is that we want good, decent people that are going to do the right thing by the people. So traditionally, the parties would bind their members and say, hey, look, we're going to have a caucus, or, the people that are in Parliament will have a vote on a particular issue. And if you don't like that decision, you have to go with it anyway. Otherwise, often you're booted out of that party and have some megastar run against you the next election. But instead of doing that, I would rather just pick people that are good, liberty-minded, friendly people. It's not helpful if you have, I'm sure, a lot of you would have known people over your lifetimes that some people are, your best mate, basically, until you disagree about anything, no matter how banal or how stupid the topic is. Then, some people like to then try and backstab you for the rest of your life because you disagreed with them, which football team was best or something stupid like that. And instead of that, I'd rather have people that are, able to get along with people, able to work with other people as well. Thanks, Magali. Just wait until I get a wig out of the other hair. If I do. So, for those that don't know, I was talking about getting a wig made or whatever, and people are saying about don't get a comb over because I've got a bald patch. But that's life. So Maria, presumably by Tom you mean Tom Barnett, and he runs with IMOP. He's also in New South Wales. But, an interesting thing is that basically two people associated with IMOP have decided to go across to me, and it's not through disloyalty, but... sorry, I'm just laughing at some comments. Like Earl says, I prefer your previous wig. I wasn't a wig before. But, there is that potential thing too. So, IMOP currently has apparently 18 candidates, and they would have had at least 2 more. Let's just put it that way. If it wasn't for 2 people deciding to go with me instead. And really, again, that comes down to how you treat people as well. So, I treat people well as long as they don't be jerk-offs to me. As many of you do know, there is someone that has been, I submit, unlawfully stalking me, criminally defaming me. She also assaulted me, even though, it didn't hurt physically, but that's beside the point. So... obviously you give people so many chances, but obviously if they don't deserve chances, then, they deserve what they get. Hi, Jacinta. Yeah, so if you can send me a personal message or write on the RJ Martins for Australians page in the personal messages, then, that would be helpful. And Marie is saying about Jamie McIntyre, I can't disclose who exactly I have been in contact with because, it's not good for strategy anyway, especially if things aren't confirmed. But I have contacted some interesting people. Let's just put it that way. And I'll continue to do so as well. So with Reset Parliament, if we get registered in time, or if we don't, or if we... I'll just put it as that way so far. We would like to run in all 93 seats of the Queensland electorate. So there's 93 divisions or electorates or seats, whichever way you want to call it. And a couple of other issues are, one, with my court case about the, legality, lawfulness of the COVID directions, that won't be decided until after the election. So that's a big bummer. because, the LNP basically been a Me Too party where apparently Deb Frecklington, a lot of people don't even know who she is, because apparently she's not very, out there and making a name for herself, so to speak, in terms of it's not like, she's a dame in shining armour as opposed to a knight in shining armour. She's no Joan of Arc, let's put it that way. But, if it wasn't for these court delays, which won't be decided when I get the appeal into the Supreme Court, it'll probably be decided, say, in November or December or something like that. And you too, Robin, can send me a message, please, and I will go through the messages afterwards and then, contact anyone that hasn't messaged me about it by then. But basically, apparently it was in a newspaper in the letters to the editor section that Deb Frecklington was asked, apparently, what would you do differently than the Labor government in terms of the COVID directions, the border closures, that kind of thing. And apparently she just said, I'd do exactly the same thing. Not in those words, but it's like none of the people have a champion. Someone going out there and, trying to protect their rights and help them. If both sides, so-called sides of Parliament, which a lot of people, as you've probably heard, say that the two wings are wings of the same bird, but, sorry, I'm just getting weird notifications. There's not like there's anyone standing out there actually fighting for the people. But if just before the election, particularly, or if it was already decided with my court cases that, hey, look, it turns out these COVID directions are illegal, unlawful, inoperative, then that would have made a big difference. And if we ran 93 people in the Queensland election that's coming on, and it's like, hey, look, this is Arjay Martin and RESET Parliament and, Joe Smith, Peter Tompkins, I'm just making up names here, then, literally it would have been possible to form government. But no one has been doing that. And unfortunately, the court case is being dragged out, and that's a potential issue. But otherwise, we might get, say, 10 to 20 candidates and try and merge with another party, and, that would be another option, because that way you do have the brand recognition of, whatever party that may be, as well as we're giving them resources. We're also giving them basically, I'm known for being the person who's taking the COVID directions to court because no one else is, risking, my own finances and all this other stuff, and actually fighting for the people. So then that attaches to whatever party and can help them too. There are limited numbers of parties that are currently registered though, and there may be, perhaps there might be another one or two that get to register before the writs are issued. And what the writs are the governor basically writes on a piece of paper saying, hey, I hereby declare an election will be held on 31st of October, and Parliament's hereby dissolved as of, the 6th of October or whatever. And once that occurs, the Electoral Commission pauses any party registration, that kind of thing, for the time of the election, and that even applies if there's a by-election. So just say if, Joe the plumber, who is a member for Capricornia, I'm just making up things, even though that's really federal parliament seat name. But, if Joe dies or retires or something like that, midway through a what do you call that? Through a parliament, so really they say like the 44th parliament, but I just can't think of a better term for it at the moment. But they quit or die or something like that before an election, then there'll be a by-election, and again during that period they can't do anything with party registrations, that kind of thing, just to try and explain it. And does anyone else have any good ideas as to who would be, potentially big name, liberty-minded people that are in Queensland? Someone like a Dick Smith, or just reading message. Okay, thank you, Maria. So Maria says she's just leaving, and good luck, and things will work out with the court case. So Robin says the Chinese Communist Party arrived in Melbourne, New Zealand and Canada with weapons. Yes, I don't know about that, and I don't know, a lot of people do make up certain rumours, or so 4 busloads of people may have arrived, but are they really military personnel? Do they really have weapons? Even Australia a few years ago had Les Hiddens, who was a bush tucker man, teach Chinese military personnel how to live off the land in Australia, and how stupid's that? Sorry, I'm losing my voice again. Anyway, so please share this video around, especially with people that you think might well like to be candidates or members of a new political party. It doesn't cost anything to join Reset Parliament, at least at this stage. And Robin saying that they've got proof, so it might well be the case. It's just I have to take everything with a grain of salt as well. And Carrie suggests Clive Palmer. So Clive Palmer also has his own political party that is it registered in Queensland yet? Maybe. I have to check that out. It used to be Palmer United Party, but now it's the United Australia Party, which is the original name that they tried getting, and then the Australian Electoral Commission didn't allow it for whatever reason. I think there was like some other party that registered a similar name just before to prevent him from calling it that. But, I'm sure there's some great Queensland people that are pro-liberty that might well have, you don't have to be a celebrity, but, it might be good to have a couple of celebrities chucked in there. They're just scrolling through some more messages. So Robin says to go to Rebel News and watch the 7-minute tape of Saturday's Freedom March. Is that the one where Avi's getting arrested? Wonder what the people are doing outside. Just pulled up at a park, so. Security with a dog. It's interesting, and shining light in my car. Anyway, so that doesn't normally happen at a public park, but it's good to actually do that in case someone gets hurt or something like that. Don't know who would be in this particular park at this time of night, unless they're crazy enough to be sitting on their bum with a camera in their face, i.e. myself. And anyway, so do you have any other questions or anything like that? Otherwise, I'll just reiterate, please share this video around to spread the word. 1, that Reset Parliament exists. 2, in terms of getting members. So membership forms are coming in slowly, but it's like some people be really excited, and then they're like, send me the thing and I'll send it back to you straight away. And some people have had like issues with printing or something like that. So I have 2 different versions of the application form and the constitution too, a PDF version and the doc version, that kind of thing. But also looking for more candidates too. We have roughly 2.5 weeks, something like that, to get all of the candidates in. in terms of being a candidate, I'll just quickly go over that. So there is a $250 nomination deposit that doesn't go to RESET Parliament at all. That just goes to the Queensland Electoral Commission, and it's required of all candidates. And you do get that money back if you get more than 6% of the first preference votes. There's also electoral funding available, and that takes a form of reimbursements for Queensland elections. So if you get more than 6% of the first preference formal votes, then you get $1.60 something per vote, but it only goes to what you've spent. So it's a reimbursement. It's not, like you just run an election and you get $20,000 for nothing. So just say if someone got roughly 20% first preference votes, then they could spend roughly about $20,000 based on the size of the electorate, and get all of their money back in terms of advertising dollars. So, printing flyers, core flutes, that kind of thing. And also with the idea of merging the party, that again can alleviate things in terms of basically getting more resources. You might get free core flutes, and core flutes are those, they're also called coroplast. Some people call it that. That's what they call it in America. Like the corrugated plastic signs that you see stuck up for months after elections on telegraph poles, that kind of thing. And then, you might get a contribution to flyers, but you also not only get RESET Parliament's resources in terms of personnel and whatever, but also, the established parties one as well. So they might have 20 people in an area. Here's a security guard. Wonder what they're... He's just buggering off, I think, now. So, yeah. So anyway, I'll bugger off. As I said, please like, share, subscribe. You can donate some money to me if you like. You can do that via PayPal at paypal.me/Arjay Martin. That's ARJAYMARTIN. I also have a separate GoFundMe that many of you will know about, which is, I can't put the link up because Facebook's censoring it, which is ridiculous, but they do what they do. So if you go to GoFundMe and type in COVID-19 space 84 court case, something like that, it'll say fundraiser by AJ Martin, because it's done via the Facebook profile. It doesn't say my proper name, which it should say, but it won't let me change it. But with those particular funds, they're specifically only for these court cases about... There's a security guard. Putting a dog in a van or ute or whatever it is, I take it. And, that money can only be spent on court cases to do with, like liberty and constitutionality of things and the unlawfulness of the COVID directions. But if in a Supreme Court, just say if I win, so I get costs awarded against the other party, that covers roughly 70% of the actual real costs, something like that. And then the money can be spent on another similar case. Or if I lose, but then they deem it a public interest case so that the government should pay for it, then again, it'll just be used for another similar case. But anyway, I'll bugger off now, and I hope you're well, and see you later. And I'll just turn the light off for a second, and we see if we can see where the security guy is going. Whee! Can we see their torch? He's looking at koalas, apparently. He's shining his torch right up in the trees, but you probably can't see it. Anyway, bye. Thank you for watching. Have a lovely day and good night and great weekend and stuff like that. I might do a more interesting video tomorrow. and I'll go through the comments as well after when I go home, which will be like 10-20 minutes away. Okay, thank you, bye.